Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're looking at the source material around Amanda Peet and really treating her career as more than just a film list. It's a case study, ambition, academia, and that deliberate shift from actor to, well, creator and activist.
Exactly, because if you just think of her, say, from her early comedies, you're really missing the blueprint, I guess, for a much deeper career path. Our sources, they point to this consistent intellectual foundation.
Right.
And that really informs her later moves. She's a writer, a producer, and, yeah, a very vocal advocate.
Yeah.
We're looking for those connections, the things that aren't maybe the standard Hollywood story.
And you see it right away with her education, don't you? She didn't just drift into acting. She graduated from Columbia University, American history degree.
Yeah.
That depth intellectually, it feels like the first big clue.
It really does. That grounding in history and analysis,
Yeah.
it feels important, especially when you look at her writing later on. But okay, let's start at the beginning. Born in New York, 1972. Parents were a corporate lawyer and a social worker.
They divorced later, right?
Yes. And the family background itself is pretty fascinating. Lots of different influences mixed in there.
It is complex. Her parents identified as atheists, but her father was from a Quaker background and her mother Jewish. So right there, you get a sense of maybe intellectual independence.
Definitely. And that non-traditional thing extends to her ancestry, too. It's like pure Manhattan history, some of it.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. Two maternal great-grandfathers who were, well, major figures. You've got Samuel Levy, lawyer, businessman, public official. He was president of the Manhattan Borough. Huge civic presence.
Wow. Okay. Borough president.
And then the other one, Samuel Roxy Rothafel, theatrical impresario, entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Basically the guy who invented the whole spectacular movie palace thing.
No kidding. Roxy, like the theater.
That Roxy. So you've got this lineage, right? High-stakes public service meets high-stakes showmanship. It's almost,
Yeah.
cinematic, like you said.
Built-in drama. But her own path to acting, it seems more disciplined. Columbia first, then deciding on acting after studying with Uta Hagen.
The legendary Uta Hagen, yeah. That led to an off-Broadway role, Away Can Sing. It suggests she took it seriously, an academic approach almost.
She definitely paid her dues on screen, though. Little things. A Skittles commercial.
Huh.
An unaccredited spot on The Larry Sanders Show. And she was Lynette in that classic Seinfeld episode, The Summer of George.
Ah, yes. The Summer of George.
But when did things really click professionally?
I'd say the big turning point was 2000. The whole 9 yards. That mafia comedy with Bruce Willis and Matthew Perry. She played Jill St. Clair, the aspiring hit woman.
Oh, she was fantastic in that. Stole scenes left and right.
Totally. And how did it do? Commercially, critically?
It was a genuine hit, made over $106 million worldwide. So, boom, commercial viability confirmed.
And the critics.
That's what's interesting. They really noticed her. Roger Ebert specifically called her performance perfect. Wow, perfect.
Yeah. That got her nominations, like the Blockbuster Entertainment Award. It put her on the map in a big way.
But it's funny, you look at the sources, and there's this contrast, isn't there? A perfect performance in 2000. But just the year before, 1999, she did that rom-com, Simply Irresistible. Critics hated it. Total box office flop.
Right. I remember that one. Or rather, I remember it not doing well.
So it shows she could, take a hit and bounce right back with something major. Resilience.
That versatility is definitely the theme here. Because then you look at like 2001 to 2004. She just jumps genres. Seems like she was actively trying not to get stuck as just the quirky comedy girl.
Yeah, you see it. Psychologist and Saving Silverman. Then something really dark. Igby goes down, playing a heroin-addicted trophy mistress. Acclaimed film, that one.
Very acclaimed. And then Changing Lanes, The Lawyer's Wife. 3 totally different vibes in just a couple of years.
And she kept working in these strong ensemble casts, right?
Always. She's in Something's Gotta Give in 2003. Big hit, that Nancy Meyers rom-com. Made $125 million just in North America. And the same year, totally different, Identity. That psychological thriller with John Cusack. She played the prostitute in Vegas.
So high-end comedy, 1 minute. Dark, twisty thriller, the next. That's someone managing their career carefully.
Seems like it. Aware of her image, trying different things, and that focus on maybe commercial projects alongside the critical ones. It paid off with her biggest movie, audience-wise. She teamed up with John Cusack again for 2012.
The disaster movie, 2009.
That one was huge globally, over $769 million worldwide. That really cemented her as a recognizable face everywhere.
And that's a whole different skill, isn't it? Acting convincingly when everything around you is, CGI chaos.
Totally different from those smaller character pieces she was also doing. But okay, right in the middle of this big screen success, she takes this big swing at prestige TV. Aaron Sorkin's show, Studio 60 on the Sunset Strip.
Right, 2006, 2007. On NBC, high profile. She played Jordan McDear, the network president.
Yeah, a really high-stakes bet for her, I think. She got a Satellite Award nomination for it, which is great recognition.
But the show itself.
Didn't last. Canceled after one season, despite all the buzz and the pedigree, intense work, high pressure, and then gone.
And we should probably mention, the sources note she later talked about struggling with postpartum depression around this time period.
That's really important context, yeah. It humanizes that whole intense period. High-profile projects, a new baby.
Yeah.
That's a lot to navigate.
Absolutely. And yet, even after the huge success of 2012, she pivots again. Deliberately, it seems. Back to independent film with Please Give in 2010.
That's what I find so interesting strategically. You go from a nearly $800 million global hit back to a small indie film playing a, what was it, self-centered cosmetologist.
Yeah. Was that like a conscious move to remind people of her acting chops after the blockbuster?
I think it has to be, right? And it worked, critically speaking. A Film Journal International called it career best work. She got a Gotham Award nomination with the cast.
So it proved she wasn't just a blockbuster actress. She wanted complex roles.
Exactly. And that range, that willingness to shift, it becomes crucial because the next phase is really about moving behind the camera.
Yeah.
From performer to creator.
Okay, so now we're into the creator phase. And her personal life connects here, obviously. She married David Benioff, the screenwriter who co-created Game of Thrones.
Right. That definitely puts her in the orbit of that whole creator-producer world at a very high level.
And it seems like she really leaned into it, using that academic background we talked about earlier. Her writing career really took off.
It's pretty robust.
Yeah.
She wrote a play, The Commons of Pensacola, back in 2013. It starred Blythe Danner and Sarah Jessica Parker.
Wow, big names for a debut play.
Definitely. And she didn't stop there. She branched out into children's books, too.
Hmm.
Co-wrote one in 2015, Dear Santa, Love, Rachel Rosenstein.
What was that about?
It tackles that specific feeling of being a Jewish kid during Christmas time, which is, a relatable experience for many.
Interesting niche.
Yeah.
But her biggest creative success as a writer-producer, that came more recently, right?
Yeah, I'd say that's the Netflix series The Chair from 2021. She wrote it and was a co-executive producer.
Set in an English department, academia.
Exactly. And this is where you can really draw a line back to that American history degree from Columbia. The show's all about institutions, hierarchy, tradition versus change. It's an academic critique, in a way.
So it shows she's thinking about systems, history, not just individual characters.
Precisely. It feels like that intellectual foundation really coming through on screen.
But while she was developing this writing side, she didn't disappear as an actress. She kept taking significant TV roles.
No, she stayed very visible. Great roles, too. Tina Morris on HBO's Togetherness, Jules on Brockmire with Hank Azaria.
Talk about Brockmire, yeah, that was great.
And then she played Betty Broderick in the second season of Dirty John. That's a huge, challenging true crime role.
Yeah, really intense stuff. But we can't wrap this up without talking about her public advocacy work, specifically around public health. That got pretty heated.
It really did. This is back in 2008. She became a spokesperson for Every Child by Two. Very strong advocate for childhood vaccinations.
And she used some incredibly strong language, didn't she? Calling parents who don't vaccinate parasites?
She did. That specific word, parasites, arguing they rely on herd immunity, the community's protection, without contributing to it.
Wow, that's deliberately provocative language, using scientific terms like parasite, host.
Extremely provocative. And it, predictably, caused a huge reaction, a real firestorm.
Did she back down?
Well, she later apologized specifically for using the word parasites. She acknowledged it was inflammatory. But crucially, she didn't back down from her actual position on the science and importance of vaccination. She stood by that.
And did that advocacy have any lasting recognition?
It did. The sources note she received an award from the IIG, that's the Independent Investigations Group, in 2009 for promoting science in popular media. So her willingness to use her platform, even in a controversial way, was recognized by some.
So when you look at the whole picture then, The serious acting training, the breakout comedy success, leveraging that into huge blockbusters, then that deliberate pivot to writing, producing, and this fierce advocacy, it's quite an arc.
It really is. It feels like the arc of someone who's always been intellectually driven,
Yeah.
always thinking about the next step, the bigger picture.
And those personal details add layers, too. Knowing about her postpartum depression struggle during that intense Studio 60 period, and even little things like her connection to Peter Dinklage.
Right, who starred in her husband's show, but she knew him before that, apparently.
Yeah, the sources say she met him through friends from Bennington College, even though she went to Columbia. It just shows how interconnected those creative and intellectual circles can be, leading eventually to her marriage to Benioff.
It all paints a picture of someone using their career as, well, a platform for something more, something deeper. Which brings us to the final thought for you, the listener.
Right. Given everything we've discussed, that family mix of public service and showmanship, her own academic background in history, her shift to creating content, her passionate advocacy, what's next?
Exactly. Will she lean further into creating maybe something historical,
Yeah.
tapping into that American history degree directly? Or could she make a complete departure, something totally outside the Hollywood sphere, maybe focusing more on that advocacy or public service side hinted at by her ancestry? What do you think her next chapter looks like?